Hello friends and welcome to the next session of the Flask application development. Last session we have started with the installation of Flask as well as the IDE that we are using is Visual Studio. I hope that you have done this setup correctly, and now from today's session we are going to see the practical based application design on Flask. So in today's video I'll be showing you how to design application with the help of a hello world program. So I just want to print hello world on the screen on the web page with the help of a Flask application. So how do I perform that? Let's check it out. Okay, so this is my simple Flask program hello.py which I've shown here, and with the help of that we can check the output it on the Flask. So let's go open the editor, your ID. I have created a new file untitled. I'll just save this particular file as the name hello.py. Okay, so simple Python file I'm having here. Okay, so I'm having Python 3.8. okay, fine. So first of all I need to import the Flask class. So from Flask package, import Flask. Okay, class we have to import, and then we have to create the object of the Flask like app object, and create the object of it with the name. Okay, so name is a special variable in Python which store the name of the function, that is by default is main. So we'll just check it out. If name is equal to, okay, it is main, fine. If name is equal to main, wait a minute, yeah, then app.run. So run is the method of the Flask class by which you can run your Flask application on the web browser using a port number, and many more information is possible there. So name is a special variable which store the name of the function. So name of the function is main, which by default we have. That's why I've written here if I'm running the code in the main, then run the application there. Okay, so what to execute, that will write in between here. So I'll be writing a decorator for app. Okay, so there's a decorator called as route. Okay, and inside that will be passing a parameter. Means by using this particular URL I will call this method. Which method or which function, that I have to declare over here. Define. Okay, just like hello world, I will write it there, and the parameter I am not passing anything. Okay, so what you have to print, that I will write here. What I have to print? Hello world. Yeah, that's it. Okay, simple program I have created. Let's talk about it. I have imported the Flask class first, then I have created the object of the Flask here by using the constructor where I am passing the name of the method function for which you have to clear this object. So name is main itself, the name is here as it is, I am using there, and this is a decorator app. Route contains one parameter. This is called as a root. Root means when you run your web application, okay, this function will be called by this URL. I'll show that URL means actually nothing is given, only root is provided. So when you open your program, by default this hello world will be printed on the screen. So this function will be called when the root is like that. Likewise we can have n number of such roots present and possible over there. Okay, so object of the Flask class is your WHI application basically, and Flask constructor takes the name of the current module, name of the current function. And if you talk about the root here, the root function is a Flask class, is a decorator which tells the application which URL should be called associated with the function. Actually it contains two parameters there, but they are containing some default values. The first parameter is rule, which represent a URL binding for the function. In the next session I will show you what's the meaning of it. And second parameter is option, which contains the parameter to be forwarded to the underlying rule object. Okay, they are also not mentioned here till. Okay, so hello world will be called when you use this particular URL, only slash, and then will be executed. And finally this is the run method which I am used along with the object of the Flask. Run method is to execute your Flask application, run it on the local development server. As the local development server is present, it contains the host name or host number, port number, debug, an option. 4 parameters are possible over there. I'll show that what parameters are possible over here. I'll just run this particular code now, and then we'll check the output, and then we'll again come back to the explanation of it. So start debugging. Okay, check it out. Now program is executed. Check this. So just check the output of it. I've executed the code. You can see the warning is given. It's a development server, do not use it for production deployment. Debugging mode is off, and finally you can see the output running on HTTP 127.0.0.1. This is a localhost port number, localhost IP address, sorry, and port number for the Flask is 5000. On that port number the Flask is running. Now it's running infinitely. So I just want to open this particular part. Which one? It's shown over here. This URL. On this particular URL my server is running, and when you open this URL, I'll just open that URL using my favorite web browser. You can choose your Mozilla Firefox or the Chrome. Check it out. So the output or the return value given from the hello function is this. Check it out. It's printing hello world over there, and you can see the output hello world on the screen like that. Okay, so what is done over here in the code, just minimize it. So what you have done, we have called by using slash. You just can observe here, slash means nothing is given. I just entered that, nothing is given. So by using that URL, the hello world function is getting called over here. Return whatever you are returning, that will be printed on the screen. Okay, that's what the meaning of the simple hello world function is. Now let's talk about in detail. Now see this one, hello.py. So what we have explained, just mentioned over here. Now route, it contains rule and options. I am not using anything. I have just given the rule, that is slash, by which you can call the respective function. And finally the run method of Flask class run the application on the local development server. So local development server is executed and it's running that particular application on the port number and the local host. So app.run, I have not given any applications, but by default it uses the host number as a local host. Okay, you can use your own IP address also over there where you have to run. So maybe my IP address is 192.168.43.165. I can use it there. Even port number also. Port number is by default 5000. On this 5000 port number, by default it's opening. Okay, remember it's opening over there. And if you want to change this port number from 5000 to 6000, 8000, 9000, but remember that port should be available, that should be free, then only I can reuse it. But the default port number for Flask application execution is 5000. Next is debug. The meaning of debug is is actually set to false. It provides debug information. Like for example, I want to make the changes in the code, and I don't have to rerun the code. So when the debug is true, that case I don't have to rerun the code when the debug is true. I'll show that how to make use of this debugging options there. And finally few more options are available to the same option to be forwarded to underlying workzeugs servers. Workzeugs server is running, that's why it's possible to view the output of this particular program. So just can check it out. Even few more things I'll show you. See, I'll just go to the system here, and instead of this I will use my local host. Okay, check it, local host. So local host is the host name, or the default IP address can also be chosen. Or if you go to my own IP address, I'll just check my Wi-Fi IP address present over here. Okay, so server is deployed, the application is deployed. I can access this application anywhere from the net. So let's check it out. This is my IP address. Yeah, 192.168.43.240. Okay, close this, and I'll use this IP address here and check whether it's running there or not. See, it's not running because we have not bounded the server to this particular IP address. So you have to mention this IP address, then only it will be running. In upcoming sessions I will show you how to bind to this IP address. Okay, so check it out, either localhost or 127.0.0.1. this IP address or the host name we can use to run your Flask application. So wherever in the route, okay, wherever in the route you mention this, so their hello world will be running perfectly. Now I'll make small change over here. It contains the parameter called as debug is equal to, okay, let's have true. I'll save this. Okay, and let's run this. Okay. Now, yeah, debugging mode is on. check it out. It was off previously, now it is on. Previously it was off, now it is showing it is on. Correct. And run this. I'm getting the same output. Okay, what happens now? Go to the system again. You can check it. Already the address is in use because my previous console is already running. I'll just close it first by using Control C. Okay. Let's close it, or we'll delete that terminal. Yeah, it is deleted. Correct. Or we'll delete this also. Remember, at a time only one system should be running, and then only it will have the output clearly. Okay, so run and debug again. Yeah, now it's running perfectly. Yeah, debugger is active. What's the meaning of debugger now? Let's run this code. I have made debugger is active. Debug is equal to true. It's showing debugger is active. Now what happens? I just want to print hello Python here. Python. I press Control S. Save this. So you just can check it out now. It's showing the application system exit. So app.run. So like exception is shown over here. But if you forget about this, I'll just close this part, go here and run that. Okay, still I'm not getting any kind of the output changes over here. So basically debug mode is used to make the changes and perform the operations accordingly. I'll just show you how to do this one in the next sessions here. So it's showing error. So we'll see how exactly we have to remove the error. So this is how the simple and common hello world program into the Flask can be written. So you just check the output and run the code again by different kind of output that you want on this HTML page. Check the output and run the code. So in next session we'll go ahead with few more topics of Flask. Thank you.